Hey brothers and sisters, Steve Monette here with another video in my Bible Prophecy Bite series where we look at Bible scripture, history, and current events that all point to the soon return of Jesus the Messiah. Okay, so for today's video, guess what? We're going to talk about the Trump peace plan, otherwise known as the deal of the century. And we all know that it was released yesterday, January 28th, 2020. And for those of you that are counting, the entire plan is 181 pages long. If you recall last year, the first part of the plan, which was the financial part of the plan, was about 130 pages long. And that was released, like I said, last year. And then, of course, yesterday, the political section was released. And that plan, part of the plan, is about 54 pages long. And as I started to read this, quite frankly, monstrosity of a document, I was trying to come up with a way to bring this information to you in a very short summary. And the way that I decided to do this was really just to give you three quotations. I'm just going to give you three quotations that really, at the end of the day, summarize this entire plan. The first quotation is from President Trump. The second quotation is from Benjamin Netanyahu. And the third quotation will be from Benny Gantz. And I am going to leave all of the links in the description box for these quotes, okay? So listen closely, because these three quotes tell the entire story and sum up 181 pages of this deal of the century, okay? All right, so here we go. Here's the first quote, and this is from President Trump, and this came out of Fox News. Quote, "This plan will double Palestinian territory and set the capital of the Palestinian state in eastern Jerusalem, where the United States will happily open an embassy." End quote. Now, this single quotation tells us that the Promised Land is being divided, and the Palestinians could receive double the land that they have right now. Secondly, Trump says that he will put an embassy in the new capital, which will be East Jerusalem. Again, this clearly means that the apple of God's eye, which is Jerusalem, and the scriptures tell us that, the apple of God's eye is being divided and then placed into the hands of another state entity, which is not Israel. Not good, brothers and sisters, but you already know that. Here's the second quotation. This one is from Benjamin Netanyahu himself. And this also came from the Times of Israel. Quote, "The President of the United States is seeking to give Israel the peace and security that it deserves." End quote. So here we have the Prime Minister of Israel calling for peace and security, which we all know is a direct quote right out of 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3. Now, here's the third and final quotation. And this one is from Benny Gantz, who will be Benjamin Netanyahu's primary opponent for Prime Minister in the Israeli election scheduled for March of this year. And again, this also came from the Times of Israel. Quote, "Immediately after the elections, I will work towards implementing it," meaning the peace plan, "from within a stable, functioning Israeli government in tandem with other countries in our region." End quote. So let me put all of this together. Here we have the President of the USA proposing to divide the land of Israel and the city of Jerusalem. Then we have the current leader and the possible future leader of Israel both agreeing that this plan is awesome and that both are willing to work to implement it immediately after the elections, again in March of this year, 2020. And all three of these guys are saying peace and safety. I didn't know what else to say. It summarizes the whole plan. This is not from the Lord. This is not part of Scripture. What happens next is anyone's guess. Historically, when such a proposal has been made by a sitting U.S. president, a major natural disaster has struck the USA within 72 hours. And that's happened almost 14 times. Will that happen again this time? I have no idea. I know what has happened again historically, but what happens this time is literally up to the imagination. But I can tell you this, if I had warned somebody not to do something 14 times and they did it a 15th time, I'm not so sure that my patience would be sustained. I just don't think it would be there. So these are very uncharted times that we live in, brothers and sisters. All I can say is I'm really looking forward to spring and summer of this year to see what happens during the wheat harvest time. For those of you that would like to have an idea of when that time is, I've done a lot of videos on it. And recently, Brother Ty Green did a 3-part series on the same exact thing, and reached basically the same conclusions that I did. That the wheat harvest is the time to watch. Okay, and that's right directly out of Scripture. So, brothers and sisters, peace plan is out. Damage has been done. The die has been cast. Where we go from here is anybody's guess, but I can't imagine it's going to be a good place that's going to be happening. It's good for us, but I don't think it's going to be good for the world. So in the meantime, brothers and sisters, keep the faith and keep looking up, for our redemption draws near. Thanks for watching.